Thank you. I first of all want to thank for this invitation. Colombia has passed very rough times in improving the coffee production, but it's a pleasure to that the work that we have done in Colombia has been highlighted, and so I will show what are we doing in Colombia in the means of affording and going to action within climate change, climate variability, and climate adaptation for the coffee growers in Colombia. And I must say, as a coffee growers organization, we are a research service for coffee growers that has been supported for more than 70 years, 7 decades, by the coffee growers. And I think it's a very important model to be put for the coffee sectors as a world example. When the people, you can know Colombia, a little bit of context. If you know or want to know Colombia, you know Colombia is coffee. And a lot of people know Colombia by coffee. A little bit context. Our people, as I said, Colombia is mostly more than 95% are small coffee growers. There are challenges in terms of these small coffee growers should be so small in the future, or they should grow within to be sustainable. But most of them are small, and this is a proof of our people need sound science and technology for improving. They have set up and strong institutions that in many cases is looked as a local government that are improving the sustainability for Colombia. Colombia grows coffee only in the Andean region, only in the mountain region, so we don't have possibilities to go to mechanics or improve a lot of technology for the coffee growing, to the fact that we are competing with densities and mechanizations. There is a big strength, but it's a big labor activity. And Colombia has set and defined his path on washed Arabica. We produce only 100% washed Arabica, and with high quality. This is the path. Coffee grows within altitudes from 1,200 to 2,800, between temperatures between 18 and 23, and mainly precipitations around 2,000 millimeters. And one of the first questions for sustainability was, do Colombia has enough geography to adapt or to mitigate in climate change and climate variability? And so climate was always a task for coffee growers, because coffee growers know that coffee growers is strongly linked to climate. So we have built up in our institution that was grounded in the 1927 as the National Coffee Federation. They soon realized that they need to base the decisions making in science. So our research center, or the research center of the coffee growers in Colombia, has been founded in 1938. And it doesn't matter the crisis that the oil sector or coffee sector has passed throughout the history, the center was supported, and we can build up a strategic capacity. So in a different strategy that other countries, very centralized, very focused on producers and for producers, and the technology is the basis of the center. These are the new facilities that are the cause of a big tragedy, the eruption of the volcán El Ruiz that has destroyed part of our facilities in 85. But crises are good for rebuilding and for knowing. And the mission the National Coffee Federation sees itself as an institution with a sustainable focus. Maybe they don't realize in 1927 that this was the scope, but the proposal of the National Coffee Federation, the research center, the extension service, and all the common services that are provided by the institutions are a sustainable strategy. And so the sustainability is something that is embedded in Colombia. We run ourselves field stations around 8 areas in Colombia, and so we have the capacity to be locally running our station in all the coffee growing areas in Colombia. What we don't do by ourselves in Cenicafe, we can do it with the department coffee committees. If not, we do this with the coffee growers. And there are some issues. There's no place in the coffee growing areas where we can do research. And Cenicafe has built up, and maybe this is the strongest in the agricultural sectors in Colombia, and I think in the world, strategic resources in which we have formed our researchers around the universities in the world, in the United States, in Europe, and the people are focused on coffee research mainly. And our strategy resources are, as I have said, all the weather station. We're improving automatic weather stations to know more about what's happened in real time or near real time, what's happened with climate and climate variability in 270 stations in Colombia. We want to improve to 300 stations. And of course, we have maintained a very strategic resource is the Colombian coffee collections as germoplasm resources. Actually, we work in 2 strategic programs, climate change and climate variability, and production and productivity. And the whole experience from Cenicafe, 7 decades or more on research, especially in coffee, are going to a multidisciplinary approach in these 2 strategic programs. I will go past to reduce risk, to come to the farmers in terms to give alerts and what's happened all around the production and productivity. And so we have actually 9 research lines that involve all the process from the seed productions, and in the big crisis we have produced in Cenicafe within the field stations around 200 tons of seeds, certified tons, resistance to rust variety with high quality for the renewal of the coffee areas in Colombia with the support of the government, of course, but this was the chance to use public resources to put in the best knowledge in the seeds to the farmers. Actually, we're developing and we are using modern technologies as in terms of creating new varieties because the challenge is there is a bottleneck in genetics. Coffee has no possibilities to do and produce new varieties with quality in the world. It's not true. We have had we are actually using this Colombian germoplasm. We have developed a new strategy that has been in discussions for years, and actually the market is realizing that this variety strategy is good because we have the Colombian variety at least more than 15 years in the plots. They are not leaving. They are not losing the resistance to leaf rust, and something that the market has not realized or identified is that we have developed in this strategy of varieties where more than 35 lines respond for the quality. What is the regional lines? These regional lines are dynamic. They are focused on specific areas in Colombia, but they are the best, they are the plus lines in coffee and have the better improvement in different regions in Colombia. And due to the fact that buyers don't want to buy Castillo because Castillo is good, it's a good coffee quality, but it's the mainstream in Colombia. And so they have left and get past all the opportunities that 8 plus varieties with good performance in productivity and quality has not been by the coffee buyers. The other issue is we have used all the Ethiopian introductions that has come to Colombia in the coffee plant. We have tested them with new technologies and other technologies for sensorial profiles. And we find that there are a lot of opportunities when we change the productions and the model. We know that there's some lines that have lower sensorial profile. What you see in red are the reference. We're always comparing our improvement with Caturra, that is the reference, or with Típica, that is the reference of Colombian quality reference. And no material has been or will be released if it not couples the performance of the quality that is known and is the reputation of Colombia. So there are a lot of opportunities in which we have materials to develop new materials. This is a productivity and what we are facing. We begin with Típica. Típica yields 50% less as the tropical, as the actual Caturra. Caturra goes to full exponation plantations. Actually, as has been said here, we're going back to use as an adaptation strategy the reintroduction from shade. But what you see here is all the productivity process that we are facing. The challenge was to replace the coffee roast affectation until 20% of productivity with Caturra with resistant variety, and that has been achieved. Castillo has better yields, and what we have actually in Colombia, we have around 60% in full exposition, 40% in shade. So there is great opportunities to reintroduce shade. We are undergoing a project in El Huila in which we will make the analysis of these production systems and see what's happened. And what will be new? New is new research in terms of improving new capacity depending on the capacity of the farmers and the risk that they want to get in terms of more yield productions. But we must work for the 5% of the people that are innovating, that want more things, entrepreneurs, but we must ensure that the 95% of the small coffee growers have sound technology for their activity. The challenge, productivity, quality, resistance, and climate adaptation. And it's not easy to combine and put all these challenges in the same framework, but we have seen, Jeffrey Sachs has talked about these trends. We need to know what's happened with climate in terms of what will happen, not what will happen with climate, because climate is not behaving in the future as it has behaved in the past. And so, but we need to know what's happened. And in Colombia, this Pacific decanal oscillation is around 20-30 years. And we know we are going from periods that are warm periods, cold periods in time. And so we need exactly to know what will be the next phase. Will be a warm phase, a dry phase, or will be a cold phase with more niños than niña. And so we must prepare not only for drought, not only for water excess, we must prepare for both. And so we want to use this strategy that was very successful for coffee leaf in proving our collections, proving all the materials, go to field trials in Colombia, use the Colombian geography as a living laboratory in terms that we will expose all the materials for that conditions. And we are tracing what's happened in the IPCC, what's happened with the forecast of the best climate researchers, and actually we know that we are above the neutral conditions, and we are in Niño. For Colombia, Niño conditions are not so worse like in other parts. So you must realize and you must know exactly what are the conditions that you are facing or coffee growers is facing when we need about Niños or Niñas. And what we need to do is understand how climate has a specific expression in Colombia. And one of the most best known activities of the Colombia is the Colombian coffee database. We know exactly in which plot coffee is growing. More than 350,000 coffee growers are included in this database, more than 1,007,000 data about the plot. So we know exactly, and we are coupling this database with the information about climate change and climate variability. So we have exactly in this sense for every station, not a theoretical increase of warming in this show this trend. We know for specific sites that we are warming up, but the steep of this warming up is not the same at different locations. But what is more important is we want to see what's happened in the events of Niños, of Niñas in this time frame in which we have data. And then we want to compare what are the homologous, or what will be the conditions that we are facing with climate change. And this so that we can do recommendations for the extension services, more than 1,500 people that are working as extension services for the coffee growers in Colombia. But the challenge is go with information to the coffee growers so that coffee growers can take their own decisions and have this knowledge. If they have a research center, they have the right to take decisions with the information that they have. And our approaches, we want to know the scenarios in the geography of Colombia, how much is the productivity. And one of the challenge was to recover the Colombian productions. And when we come to NCA, the people say, it's a wonder. Nobody believes that Colombia will be back in the market with more than 11,000 bags a year with coffee. But we have done this in terms that we have recovered productivity, even the threats and the challenge of climate change. And actually, we are going in terms of first approximations in terms of what we have developed, what we know as coffee agroclimatic indicators. Climatic indicators specific developed for the coffee grounds, because we have 7 decades of knowledge in coffee. Now, actually, the challenge is understanding what is this relationship between coffee and climate. We have developed these indicators, and so we can say exactly in how many hectares in Colombia we have a specific potential of growing, because we know that within the years the potential will be changing, because if the climate is changing, the potential will be changing. And the challenge for the Coffee Federation and Research Center is that every coffee grower can get information about his coffee plot in Colombia and can take a look. So we are reconstructing, we are using all the information that we have in books. We are building up a database so that researchers have access to this information and can build this acclimatic zoning in a new approach, so we have a better understanding what's happening in different regions. And we have put up a platform. All the information is free available in that contact, agroclima pod.cenicafe.org, in which in daily basis you can see the information what is happening around 105 stations that are giving the information. But we need to develop new apps, applications, so that the people can know and use this information for decision making. And of course, we have resumes all the state of the art, what has done by Cenicafe in our 75-year celebration. We don't want to make a big celebration. We have delivered more than 1,200 pages of knowledge for the coffee growers to show them that we are grateful from the support that we have received from them during 75 years in an intergenerations approach in knowledge, not in knowledge. And we know that we have done a lot in the value chain, but our question is, what are doing the other actors in the value chain to improve sustainability? And this is what I want to present you today, and thank you. I hope don't I abuse from your time. Thank you very much.